This is Squad, a hyper-tactical, squad-based, realism-centric, first-person shooter. You would be forgiven for thinking that it is running on a Battlefield engine, but is actually running on Unreal 4. It's actually slightly odd. This looks a lot like a refined HD update to the old Battlefield 2's grittier aesthetics and map setup, ditching the new dubstep matching lens flares and orange hue in the new games for untouched neutral lighting. The game isn't the most jaw-dropping graphics-wise. The player textures look good close up, but the textures aren't strong in general as they could be. However, I believe this is a sacrifice to allow for the extensive foliage and cover in the game, which is central to the gameplay mechanics. I also wondered whether the foliage was universal in all settings from high to low and visibility-wise, and they seem to block vision on each setting, which is a big deal for fairness. A lot of games suffer from foliage and shadows obscuring vision in higher settings, but not appearing at all in lower settings. However, I would think that this may cut people out with the lowest rigs out of the equation to play this game, but you'll just have to see yourself. Anyway, onto the big sell of the game, the teamwork. Squad is a standalone successor to the free Battlefield 2 mod, Project Reality. If anyone has played it, they will have a very good idea what to expect from this game. Once you're dropped into a game, assuming you can get into a server that isn't full, you'll be presented with the option to join a squad. Once you click that button, I can almost assure you, you will hear some radio chatter, either calling out targets, bellowing orders, or requests for backup. Some squads will even kick you if you don't have a mic. The game is all about teamwork, from relying on your two medics to get you up when you go down, your automatic rifleman to lay down covering fire, to your grenadier to lay down coloured smoke to mark different targets. The squad leader is the orchestrator of the squad, giving orders and laying down strategic buildings including spawn points, ammunition and defences. The maps are designed with spawn placements in mind, as there are actually only 2 original spawns on the maps where your faction starts. The maps are dynamic and the fronts of the fights move relative to where squad leaders have placed their spawns. There are compounds and hills that are placed with this flow of battle in mind, but you can pretty much make a forward base anywhere. If I had to make a real life comparison with this game, it is a lot like paintballing or airsoft in a large outdoor venue. A lot of the time may be spent moving through cover, hearing shots land near you with no real idea where they're coming from, but the realistic sounds and the low health pool make this a visceral experience rather than a tedious one, full of adrenaline. And this is something worth thinking about when watching the footage. It isn't easy to get lots of kill streaks to show off the game. It's more of an experience you need to see yourself. Something to remember is that this game is in early access, or realistically an alpha. There are no vehicles currently in the game, which was a big part of the experience in the Project Reality mod. However, yesterday I was in a squad who brought up the fact they wish they never put vehicles in, as the gameplay as is has its own dynamic. It is quite a lot like Insurgency at the moment, just with more players and larger maps and slightly different feel of engine. I personally feel the way the engine runs is more of a convincing military simulation, dragging you into a sensory experience unlike a bit of flimsy armed assault, for example. The way you get shell shock, the way that the bullets land, the sound of the game, it all just creates a bit of a better experience in my opinion. Personally, as someone who has played quite a bit of Project Reality, I don't think vehicles will ruin the experience. They were always a supporting role more than something that overwhelmed the experience, and they still had a very cooperative play in mind, like having a jeep go ahead and scout out the area and you'd have 6 people in it, and then you'd jump out with the squad. It was never really about going around getting lots of kills. Some things to note that whilst for me the general running of the game has been extremely smooth, I am having issues with hitching at the moment, which don't seem to correspond with any action in the game. There is one map called Magarathea in the Horsehead Nebula which just doesn't load up any spawns. I don't even know whether it's supposed to be in the game, but it ruins the servers at the moment, but that might have been patched out as I'm speaking now. There are some weird visual things as well, like clipping through walls, and water currently is just a flat texture, but hopefully those things will be ironed out. And while Squad attempts to go for 100 players per battle, we are currently stuck with 72 players, and the 72 player servers are pretty hard to get into prime time, but I suppose this is true for Battlefield games too. There are quite a few of them, just lots of players at the moment. And the 72 players at the moment feels right with the infantry gameplay. Perhaps with the 100 players it may actually make it more the same, except with the vehicles. But we'll just have to see for that as the elf comes out. So, is it at the current time worth that £30, which is a very hefty price tag? Is very much up to you. I would say it's a very solid squad-based experience, but there are other things that match it out there that are a lot cheaper, like Insurgency, which has gone on Humble Bundle stores for less than £5 quite a few times. But as the game starts to get added to, I think it will get better and better. And it's very much up to you. If you prefer Battlefield over Insurgency and Armed Assault, and you wish that it was a bit more realistic, then this definitely is the game for you. And it's going to just generally suit anybody that likes this sort of squad gameplay. And the community does seem very good at the moment, and it's very nice to just jump into a squad and have a chat. So has anyone else been playing it? Does anyone else have a different opinion to me, or how are your thoughts in the game? Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to see and hear more of me. Until next time everybody, Joshino.